الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, in previous Friday's reminder, I shared with you some thoughts and reflections about what a community is and how a community is made up of different segments and how each segment has its own special needs. And one of these segments I spoke about last time was the youth segment. And the youth segment is unique in a sense that it has to go through the challenge of reconciling its multiple identities. And as I mentioned last time, the issues, the challenge that our youth face today are huge. And we as a community, in some ways, are not fully grasping these challenges and not prioritizing the needs of the youth. And my appeal then, and my appeal now, is that we take the youth issues and the youth needs as the number one priority of our community. Perhaps we might ask, what are the needs of the youth? And to identify these needs, perhaps we might need to brainstorm. Perhaps we might need to bring all our expertise, people who are in mentoring field, people who work with the youth, people who work with young people and understand their challenges and their issues. So this issue is a much bigger issue. But for the purpose of today, I'd like to mention specifically 3 types of needs that the youth need in order to succeed and in order to develop and in order to be the future leaders of their community. And these 3 are a space, mentors, and supporting social network. It is said that the 3rd Khalifa of Islam, Umar ibn al-Khattab, once said, referring to the youth and the needs of the youth, علموا أبناءكم السباحة والرماية وركوب الخيل. Teach your children archery, swimming, and riding horses. And if we look at this statement, what the Khalifa is suggesting is that we create an avenue for our young to channel their energy, an avenue where they can freely engage in positive activity. In the past, that space was the open desert. In the open desert, they can meet, they can play, and they can learn some important skills. Today, in our urbanized life, perhaps that open field, that open space is not available for our young. In traditional villages, that open space could be the corner of the neighborhood where the youth meet and talk and chat and have good times. But in our situation, my dear brothers and sisters, those avenues are not available for our youth today. And that's why it's important that we provide a special space for them. That space we commonly call it youth center. A youth center would be a place where the youth can meet anytime. They don't have to do any prior booking. A place where they can socialize, where they can have some sports activity, a place where they can go for counseling, a place where they can make friendship, a place where they can be mentored, a place where they can learn, a place where they can be tutored, a place they feel that they're part of it, and a place that they have ownership of. This kind of space, this kind of place is very critical and very important. When our new center was envisioned, perhaps more than 20 years ago, our visionaries thought of the gym that we have today as a place that will serve the youth. But with the growth of our community, this space that we have today, the gym that we have attached to the masjid, is a place that's used for all purposes. And it's a place that everybody utilizes. So its effectiveness as a space available for the youth has been greatly undermined. So our youth need a place of their own, a place where they can easily and comfortably meet and socialize and chat and learn and have fun. Today, one of the most important places where people go for their sports activity are the YMCA or the YWCA. And if we look at the name is Young, the YWCA or YMCA stands Young Men Christian Association or Young Women Christian Association. And the founders of these institutions, their vision was to create a space for the young to come and to channel the extra energy they have in a positive way. So I believe, my dear brothers and sisters, one of the needs that our youth definitely need and is not readily available for them is a youth center. Second thing that our youth need are mentors. Mentors are essential and important. There are good mentors and there are bad mentors. If we were to study the autobiography of some of our greatest scholars and greatest figures in our Islamic history, we will find that part of their success has to do with the kind of mentors they had. For example, Imam Shafi'i, one of the giant figures in our Islamic history, came from a single mother. His father died when he was young, and probably even before he was born. But he was mentored by a great scholar, Al-Imam Malik. And Imam Malik, when he met Imam Shafi'i when he was young, when he was a youth, he predicted that this young person has a bright and great future. So he mentored him, he guided him. Similarly, the second most important figure in the Hanafi Islamic jurisprudence is a scholar known as Abu Yusuf. Abu Yusuf, similar to Imam Shafi'i, comes from a single mother family. He was an orphan, he was poor, but he found a mentor, and his mentor was Imam Abu Hanifa. So mentors play an important role in shaping the future of the young and the youth. And we as a community, we need to have sufficient mentors to guide our young, to inspire them, mentors who the young can come at any time, where they share with them their concerns, their fears, their doubts, their questions, where they would not be intimidated to ask any question whatsoever. Mentors whom they can lean towards, mentors whom they can trust. So my dear brothers and sisters, along with a youth center, our youth need mentors. And that youth center should be a place where they can find mentors, where they can interact with their mentors, where they can find guidance from their mentors. So this is very important, very critical. And if youth do not find good mentors within their communities, they will certainly find other mentors who might potentially radicalize them, mentors who might potentially take them to the wrong direction. So mentorship is key to the development, to the success, and to the future of our youth. Third one, my dear brothers and sisters, from the needs that the youth have, and this is very important, a supportive social network, meaning that they need to have friends they can socialize, friends they can talk to, friends they can relate to. We as human beings, we cannot live in isolation. We need people to talk at every stage in our life. When we are young, when we are old, when we are married, every stage of our life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us in such a way that the more positive relationship we have, the happier we are and the more productive we are. Our youth need that kind of social support. When they have that kind of social support, their self-esteem will be better, and they will motivate one another, inspire one another, and collectively grow and develop. The challenge we are having today, my dear brothers and sisters, and many people who work with the youth are talking about, is the youth isolation. Some of our youth are isolated in their basements, are isolated with their phones and with their computers, with their games, have no friends, have no one to socialize and talk. That's certainly disheartening. And this have consequences. It has psychological consequences, and it could impede their future development and growth. Further to this, if they don't find that kind of social support, social network, they will find it outside. And that social network might not be a good social network. It's known that, for example, that gangs and other dangerous groups, they target those youth who have no friends, those youth who are isolated. And because they know that these youth are in need of some kind of social support, they provide that to them, unfortunately, and they push them to a wrong direction in their life. So yes, my dear brothers and sisters, our youth, more than lectures, more than telling them to do this or do not do this, they need to have a supportive, a vibrant, a strong social network. And when they have that kind of social network, the peer pressure, the friendship will encourage them to make the right choices. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-mar'u ala dini khalili, falyanzur ahadukum man yukhalil." A person will be on the path of his companion, or her companion, or his friend, or her friend. Let everyone know who his companion or her companion is. Yes, friends, people who socialize, people we meet, definitely have an influence on the choices we make, on our priorities, and on our future endeavors. So that kind of social network might be there, but in my perception is very weak. And perhaps when we have a center where they can readily meet and socialize and chat and talk, perhaps that kind of social network can be available for them. So 3 things that I believe are desperately needed and are essential for healthy development for the youth and the young are: first, a space. And a space could be a youth dedicated center, a center fully dedicated for the youth. Secondly, a system of mentorship. And thirdly, a strong social network. And I'm worried that perhaps these 3 are not fully available for many of our young today. A youth center is not fully available. There is something available, but it is deficient. Mentorship, that's also another area of deficiency. Supportive social network among friends, among peers, within the community is also another area of deficiency. My dear brothers and sisters, our community, since its inception, has been a community driven by projects. Every time we have been pushing for a project. First, our major project was establishing our first ever mosque, and by the grace of Allah, that project was accomplished. Then the next project was to establish a full-time Islamic school. That project was accomplished. Then the following project was to establish a larger center. That project was accomplished. Then another project was to have centers and mosques in the downtown area. That project was also accomplished. And now we have embarked recently on a new project, and that's a funeral home. And as you all might know, that project is in its phase of completion. Within the next few weeks, by the will of Allah, that funeral home will be open and ready to be utilized. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank every brother, every sister who contributed and who worked hard towards making this project a reality. Now, my humble suggestion, my dear brothers and sisters, now is the time to think of a youth center. Once we are done with the funeral home, our next major undertaking should be a Muslim youth center. This project is overdue. This project cannot wait anymore. We are bleeding internally. That bleeding should stop. And one way, hopefully, to stop that bleeding is to create a space and to work collectively on establishing a full-fledged and unique, outstanding youth center. Some communities have successfully established that, and we can learn from their experience. Do we have the resources for that? Certainly we have the resources, but we need to prioritize this. We need to have a will. We need to have a determination. Building our first mosque was a major challenge. People thought that was impossible. The new center, people thought that's impossible. But all of it is a possibility. وَعَلَى قَدْرِ أَهْلِ الْعَزْمِ تَأْتِي الْعَزَائِمُ. Poet said that great accomplishments are correlated, directly correlated with the determination of the people behind them. Let's, my dear brothers and sisters, see the realities that we are facing, understand the challenges we have. We will have no future if our youth are not thriving. We will have no future if our youth are not connected with their communities. We will have no future if our youth are not mentored and prepared to be the leaders of their communities in their future. I hope, my dear brothers and sisters, this short reminder of mine will be an instigator to more discussions so that we can start putting some steps necessary towards addressing this issue once and for all. Thank you for listening to me attentively. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.